What's your 3-unit pick for week 4?
So I'm going to take Indianapolis getting a 1.5 at home against Pittsburgh. You started mentioning the Steelers, the 3-0 Steelers. I'm just looking for a spot to fade them at this point because and we talked a little bit about this last week, how there's just everything looks unsustainable with them. And to their credit,
they've given up 26 points.
They've been able to do it over time. 26 points, but part of me wonders if we're overrating the defense a little bit.
They're not going to give up 8 points a game for the rest of the season.
Week 1, you had Kirk Cousins in his first game off the Achilles injury, first game for Atlanta. Second week, Bo Nix, rookie quarterback. Third week, Justin Herbert, who was injured going into the game. So
sell me on the Colts offense here.
I don't love the Colts offense, but
sell me on the Colts in general. Then.
I like the Indianapolis's offensive line. I still think they're among the best in the league. First in pass block win rate, third in pass block win rate, first in run block win rate, I believe.
Okay.
I think you saw a little bit of burst from Jonathan Taylor last week. So I think what they do well offensively, or have the potential to do well offensively, it can neutralize Pittsburgh's defense a little bit. I think that Pittsburgh's offense still leaves a lot to be desired.
That's for sure.
This is a better, albeit less explosive version of Justin Fields because you're not getting the negative plays. I think it's almost like they broke him down to build him back up. So maybe later in the season you start to see a more complete Justin Fields. But that being said, he's still 25th of 31 qualified quarterbacks in success rate, explosive play rate. George Pickens is really the only guy that is worth a damn on that offense. So I think I just have questions about the Steelers. And then just from a spot standpoint, third road game in 4 weeks. You get a week 5 primetime matchup against the Cowboys next week. So just interesting spot in the schedule.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Mike Tomlin, obviously relishes the underdog role. As a favorite, though, road favorite, 33, 40, and 2 against the spread in his career. And I don't know. I think there is a little bit of value with Indianapolis. I think they're still trying to wash off the stink of those back-to-back losses to begin the season where, granted, they didn't look good, especially that week 2 against Green Bay. But, week 1 was a loss to Houston. I think Houston's a pretty good team. So, I don't know. I think Indy will be okay in the long run. Certainly enough to justify grabbing a 1.5 at home against a team that I have some questions about.
So, the Steelers are 3-0. We kind of talked about the Chiefs and the Bills. I guess the better question is, we're going to talk about the 3-0 teams. I think the Chiefs and the Bills are obviously the top of that class. Who's the other? Who leads that next group of 3-0 teams? Of the Vikings, Steelers, and Seahawks. I think there's a pretty clear number 1 through 3 weeks. I don't know if it's where you're looking. Who do you think?
So you're going to say the Vikings?
Yeah,
right?
I am. Yeah.
Through 3 weeks, I agree. It has looked good. Obviously,
can you make a case for them to be the best team in the NFL? Are you ready to do that?
I'm not. No. You probably could using just sheer numbers, but I'm not ready to go there. Because I think ultimately the quarterback play is going to be a problem. I think now you're getting enough out of the quarterback, and the coach and quarterback are working, and such good tandem that it works. But what happens when the game speeds up a little bit on Sam Darnold in week 11?
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like. So I think Seattle. And this goes back to what we talked about at the top. You're still relying a lot on your preseason expectations, and I liked Seattle coming into the year. So the fact that they're 3-0 is a little bit of confirmation bias, maybe. So that's the one thing.
There's that
I was totally wrong about Minnesota. Let's get that out of the way now, because I thought their defense was going to stink. Again, probably didn't give Brian Flores enough credit.
It's good coaching staff.
Yeah, very good. But I think I might have been onto something with Seattle, as I think that they
potentially good coaching staff too.
Good coaching staff.
The Grubster.
The quarterback play has been strong for better two plus seasons now. Weapons on offense. It's just a matter of the defense. Will that hold up? But I think there's enough talent there now with the defensive coach as well that they can do something.
Yeah. What's the ceiling for the Steelers then? Are they're almost at the point where they're banking enough wins where I'm they're going to the playoffs. I know it's probably not even October yet, but I think they They have all the makings of a 9-8 team that somehow sneaks in. Maybe they're that 7 spot that we were talking about. They muck up the entire thing. We're gonna be sitting here in January. I mean, maybe, and talking about like, I don't want anything to do with the Steelers one way or another in this wild card game. So I think that's kind of where they're headed. I don't know who ends up being the quarterback for the long term there, and even if they trip up this week, which I actually don't think they will. Like they could be if they're 4-0 after this week.
Can they win the division?
Yeah, they definitely can.
So,
because it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, how do you are these teams that fall behind so early? Are they just gonna have enough time to catch up? And I don't know.
Yeah,
the Bengals and the Ravens are gonna have to take full advantage of their games with the Steelers.
Just looking at the AFC North odds, Ravens still a favorite, but now plus 130. Steelers plus 220. This is at FanDuel Sportsbook. Yeah. Bengals plus 340, and then the Browns, who I think are they look awful right now. They're 7-1.
I might bet the Browns just because. Who knows at this point? Like
but Seattle's to go off of them again about 3-0 teams. Like so, San Francisco in the NFC West still the favorites to win the division at plus 110. Seattle's sitting at plus 190. They have a 2-game lead over there. I mean, I know it's through 3 weeks, but like the other teams are sitting at 1-2, and they're 3-0.
Yeah.
So not only are they
haven't played a divisional game yet, have they?
They have not, no.
So, I mean...
And this is another, to go back to what you were saying, like, you might learn a lot this week because they got Detroit this week.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what they're... Because they have, I mean, the knock on them has been the level of competition, right?
Yeah.
Like, New England took them to overtime.
Tell you what, the place to bet the 49ers this week and then circle back and get the Seahawks in a couple of weeks. Get them both at plus money. So, all right. Speaking of teams that are not 3-0, I'm taking the Bengals as 4.5-point road favorites against the Carolina Panthers.
The Andy Dalton Bowl.
The Andy Dalton Bowl, yeah. I just have not learned my goddamn lesson with the Bengals. I'm back on the Bengals this reason for the same exact reasons pretty much last week. It's the genesis, the base of this is basically it can't get any worse, right? And so this game,
another team I was wrong about, by the way, potentially.
Yeah,
I'm not burying them yet, but I could be totally wrong.
I was
about the
conflicted
Bengals.
as I was putting this together. Like, well, I might have been right about this one, Ricky. But so this game opened at 7. It's already down to 4.5. Like it feels far more like a 7-point game than a 4.5-point game. I think the Bengals might have a defensive problem. I'm pretty sure they have a problem on defense. They can't stop the run. They got a little bit better last week. I don't think Carolina is going to accentuate that. I am 100% ready to discount everything that happened last week in the Panthers game. I think that's a fake game because the Raiders, you saw Antonio Pierce like literally minutes after the game being like, we had guys making business decisions late in this game. And it's just...
What an asinine comment, too, for a team that got punched in the mouth right out of the gate.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So he's bickering about the final few minutes or whatever it may be. It's like, dude,
that being said,
your team wasn't ready to play.
The Jack Jones film was not good.
Yeah,
he did not seem very interested in tackling. But like at the same time, I guess
but that's Jack Jones.
Weird,
like you know what you're getting into.
It's also
with Jack
weird
Jones.
it's just the thing. Like professional athletes are wired differently. It's weird for an ex-coach or an ex-player to be like, guys were putting their own well-being in front of the teams in like a 20-point game late in the game. But I think it has more to do. Fine, if the coaching is bad, the commitment's bad. I don't put a whole lot of stock into the Raiders. I think they stink.
Brutal. One of the worst teams in the NFL.
I think Carolina stinks. I do wonder if last week they got a bit of a bump, similar to like when a team fires its coach and there's a little bit of renewed optimism, renewed hope. The film is whatever. Like it's insane that Andy Dalton is still playing, but that's neither here nor there. I think it comes back to earth a little bit. I think the bigger issue is I don't think they can stop the Bengals. And for as bad as the Bengals look defensively, offensively, they continue to get better. Joe Burrow, gotten better every week, or at least his numbers have. He ranks 7th in pass rating, 8th in completion percentage, 7th in passing yards, 5th in touchdown passes. They have offensive line issues. They just lost Trent Brown for the season. But Carolina is not the sort of team that's going to make them pay. This is insanity. They have one quarterback hurry for the first 3 weeks. That's last in the NFL. So this is the thing. They have 5 sacks. So how do you have 5 sacks but only 3 hurries? It's a little different. There's nuances.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
5 sacks ranks 27th. They've generated 7 pressures. That is dead last. That 7 pressures is half of what the Dolphins and Raiders have. The Dolphins and Raiders are tied for 30th in the NFL. They are last by a mile when it comes to generating pressure. I don't think they're going to be able to get home here. I think Cincinnati does more than enough to run away and hide, and I just don't like Andy Dalton's chances in, putting up an offensive effort back-to-back weeks that resembles something of a shootout. So I just have to think there's enough institutional pride and talent with the Bengals that they end this thing this week, get back on the right track. I know I said like the exact same thing last week, but I think this week it's a better